Thank you so much for finding Channel Core. Now, without any ado, let's do Wicked Part 1. If I had to describe this movie in one word, it would be straight up spectacle in every way. Wikipedia has the budget at $150 million, and I'd say they get just about every penny out of it. Sets, production design, costumes, and whatever words you want to use to describe what you're seeing on screen is all top shelf, and I need to see it again in order to nitpick any weaknesses in the special effects, but from what I recall, most or all of it looked pretty great. There's quite a bit of singing in this, but it somehow didn't feel too musical to me, and I want to say there are quite a few little moments where characters would sing just a handful of lines instead of pelting out full-blown songs every time. There's essentially no scenario where I'm more interested in seeing a musical than not, with the exception of the South Park guys, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, who made the insanely awesome, ingeniously hilarious South Park movie and Team America. All due respect to Cannibal the musical, of course. With my kind of real favorite musical being Grease, which is way more fun and cheesy than it is a powerful epic musical, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I am, of course, on board with the classics like Wizard of Oz, Sound of Music, Mary Poppins, which I don't think I'd actually sat and watched the whole way through until that remake thing that came out a few years ago. If I had to pick a favorite of all the old school musicals, I'd probably have to go with Singin' in the Rain, half just because of its very cool premise of being about silent movie era stars transitioning into the sound era. The first major chunk of this takes place in a school of sorcery, which immediately had me trying to remember if I saw that the book this was based on was written in the mid-80s or mid-90s, as far as whether J.K. Rowling was influenced by this at all for Harry Potter. But no, this is like 1995, and Potter was first published in 1997, and she'd been developing her thing well before Wicked. On that note, I then started researching what the first school for witches or superpowered kids was, and of course, it's the motherfucking X-Men from 1963, baby. Yeah. I have not seen the play and really didn't know any of these songs, with an observation being that most of them didn't stick with me or feel super catchy right off the bat or anything, not like a hit pop radio song at least, with the exceptions of the bigger hit tracks, Popular and Defying Gravity, which is awesome. One super impressive thing I just read is that most of the music was recorded live on set, which is rare because you don't want actors singing take after take all day long. That's going to put a massive strain on any voice. The performances are of course great, to the extent that I did consciously think to myself, yes, as far as the singing goes, this would be seriously impressive live. As far as the excessive length of this at 2 hours and 40 minutes goes, it felt in a weird zone for me between not feeling like it had major pacing issues, mostly I'd say because it's so dynamic and forward-moving, and yet I did check the clock at least 3 or 4 times along the way in wondering how much of the movie was left. That's obviously going to be less of an issue for those of you who love the musical and are having fun watching this rendition play out, or who are totally enthralled with this universe in general, kind of like when I'm watching a season of The Boys or a really good superhero action or sci-fi movie, and I'm mostly thinking, I'm in my happy place, and I don't ever want this to end. As far as this being a part 1, I'm mostly irritated that they don't seem to have marketed it that way at all. Unless I'm seriously that dumb and missed it until like a week before this came out. And I even asked a buddy who's way more into this sort of thing than I am, and even he had no idea until I told him. This is in contrast to projects like Dune, that was marketed as a part 1 from the day it was announced, if I'm not mistaken, or Lord of the Rings, or any number of all the young adult books they've made into blockbuster franchises and had to split into 2 parts. If I do have a primary complaint, it's a dumb one, but I can't resist. The Wicked Witch's name of Elphaba Throp is absolutely terrible. I get that author Gregory Maguire did it as an homage to L. Frank Baum's initials, but not only do I keep forgetting it, almost immediately after I hear it, that name rolls off the tongue so badly that all I can think of is this fantastic bit from 30 Rock.
The Verger has a limited release next week.
Oh, congratulations. I didn't know they had a release date for for that movie.
You still don't know what the title is?
No, no one does. It's gone on way too long to ask her about it.
And I have a screener of the movie for you. I want you to watch it.
Ah, the Rural Juror. That is something. I can't wait to watch it.
This title isn't hard to understand, right?
No, it's awesome. I love that we can work while we're on cocaine.
There's a great, though arguably slightly heavy-handed emotional beat moment in the middle of the movie that has to do with a character bonding with and standing up for an outcast in a very public place. Yes, I tried to inconspicuously wipe a tear or three with my index finger knuckle, and then there's also a moment or two, at least near the end, that are also emotionally effective. There are a handful of laughs in this, almost all of which come from the dialogue and actions of Galinda, who is pretty much cartoonishly self-centered, spoiled, conceited, and clearly believes the whole world revolves around her. So yeah, Ariana Grande is basically playing herself. I'm kidding, I hope. Only in the sense that all I really know about Ariana is that she's clearly talented as hell and recently hosted one of the best Saturday Night Live episodes of the last couple years, give or take. Overall, especially if you're interested in this in the first place, it shouldn't be too hard to have a whole lot of fun with this. One of my favorite things on the interwebs is honest trailers, and while I'm not going to steal any content, just this once I'm absolutely going to borrow their extremely cool technique for closing out their videos. Starring my best friend's Emerald City, Dr. Uncanny, Incredible, WandaVision, the Hitler of Oz?
The best way to bring folks together is to give them a real good enemy.
A Dillamond always pays the price.
Yes, Miss Glinda.
It's Yellow Brick Night! Because of the road, guys. The road. Madam Dean and Sorceress, all its shiz. And introducing Marissa Bodie, the most determined and inspiring actress, writer, director, and producer in the world. Scary Potter. Okay, so in a world full of talking animals, you get most bullied just for being green? Everyone's review is biased in some way. My opinions could totally change a week, a month, or years from now, so keep on loving what you love. Please give me a like before you forget, subscribe if you feel like choosing wisely, and let me know below if I missed something or got something right. They say comments really help a channel, but please do it in the nicest way possible because I'm still a very, very fragile man-child.